Hello. Yes. Uh, First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. V.K. Singh, Surgeon Rear Admiral V.K. Singh, for this invitation. Sir is our founder director at IIHMR Delhi, and we have very fond memories of his time with us. And he has really built the foundation of our institute and taken it. He's a main person responsible, I would say, for where we are today, because he was the founder director. So, having said so, thank you, Deblina, for the invitation, the introduction. So, I don't want to say much because one, you heard a lot, and also Amitji has, as an innovator, he has already brought out something really fascinating. And before that, whatever he was mentioning about the health aspects, that's bang on. So to begin, all I'll say is my own journey, and not too much, but just to put in context. So the first time I actually studied air pollution was year 2000, believe it or not. Before, there was, at that time, there was hardly anybody in the country probably looking at this whole issue. And I was doing this as part of my MD thesis. I was doing my MD in physiology at the Patel Chest Institute in Delhi. And my thesis was on how the indoor air pollution affects the health of school-going children from low-income settings. So that was a very important deep dive, very good learning. And from there, I somehow found my way to the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, to Dr. Jonathan Samet, who was the chair of epidemiology and a guru in global tobacco control. After my MPH there, I came back, and after a couple of months working with INCLIN, the International Clinical Epidemiology Network, I joined TERI, where my remit was working on environmental health. So that was the story then. It was still not considered important at that time. But then, since I was at TERI, one of the developments was that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which was headed by Dr. Pachauri, that got the Nobel Peace Prize. And so TERI, where Dr. Pachauri was the head, that a lot of work began on how climate change impacts health. And so the better part of 10 years I spent in that area. I started off at IIHMR in 2009. I had finished one small project on climate and health here at TERI. And then when I moved on to IIHMR, when Dr. V.K. Singh was there, he was very encouraging on continuing that work on the impact of climate change on health. Mind you, that was 2009, when, again, in that whole area also, there was practically no one. So that journey continued. And then in the last 5 years, especially 2015-16, when the air pollution kind of skyrocketed, that's when I again got more active in that specific area, which was my MD thesis area. And I also, like Amilji, was involved in activism. We did a small neighborhood experiment in which we used to have an air quality monitor that I used to have in my balcony. And every morning I used to take the air quality readings, and then through WhatsApp, send it to our morning walkers group. And eventually we kind of calibrated and kind of figured out, what levels are okay to go out for a walk, what levels one should not go, what should one do in between, and so on. And it was something which was very well appreciated. It was picked up by the media, the newspaper. There was a video made on it by Al Jazeera. BBC covered it, and that was it. So we just continued with that work, and that was about that aspect. It was just something we did. A couple of talks I gave, but in 2019, I was really honored, delighted that my own university, Johns Hopkins University, in their wisdom, awarded, I received a Community Hero Award from the Johns Hopkins University. So that was the activism part, but we also did some science along the way, and this included 2 projects with the Central Road Research Institute. One on how the first-time users of the metro, the commuters, how they benefited in terms of air quality, and also in terms of physical activity, and the second project on how traffic impacts the health of school children. The results of that we are in the process of assessing. So that's about the research, the activism dimension. We also serve as a Center of Excellence for Vulnerability Assessment for the National Program for Climate Change and Human Health. There are some 16 institutes associated with that. And the national program also includes air pollution besides climate change. So that is about me and the work we do. Now to very briefly take you through, how we as epidemiologists always look at problems. So in descriptive epidemiology, we say we have 6 honest men, right? So the why, when, where, who, what, and how, right? So, and just I would like to touch upon 6 aspects, how I look at it in terms of answering these 6 questions, some of which has been covered, but it's important to again dwell on it. So I'll go first to the health aspects, which is my area, but it's all interconnected. So I will, even though I'm a health scientist per se, but since we work in the environment field, I will still just mention what I feel is the way to go about the air quality puzzle. So when we say who is affected, we say, of course, children, elderly, pregnant women, those with comorbid conditions, those outdoors, like traffic policemen, but particularly pregnant women. I think that is one category we miss in our thinking. There is worldwide evidence that there is a reduction in birth weight as a result of air pollution. We still don't know what is the implication in India, but with the high levels of pollution, this is certainly a matter which we really need more evidence, and it would have nutritional consequences. But immaterial of the evidence, I think pregnant women obviously need to take extra care, at such times. I've had a lot of, husbands, to-be fathers, asking me, should we take our wife to, less polluted, to their home or whatever in the village, or smaller town. So yeah, that is a concern. Then the other point is, why we should be concerned, which is that this is exactly where I will, agree fully with Amitji that we just have too much focus on the lungs, whereas actually it is the heart which has been shown to have a tremendous impact. I mean, air quality really impacts the heart, and that is something we are just not even recognizing as a phenomena, definitely. And more than that, I think, I won't say more, but at least as of now, I can say that the brain aspect is has been totally overlooked. We are not considering the more than 200 studies that we have worldwide, which are clearly telling us that IQ is affected in children, that it affects Alzheimer's in adults, in the elderly, and depression could be one of the impacts in both, and there could be several other impacts. It definitely goes past the blood-brain barrier. PM 2.5 or lesser size particles can enter the brain and cause structural damage. This is something which is so worrying, and I don't understand how we don't have enough pressure or enough momentum on this aspect. On something that is affecting our brain is not something that should be taken lying down. So we are having a generation who have brains which are the brain which is being affected, which is a very, very critical matter. Then the other aspect is where we should be acting. This is here now. I'll like to say that we always think of high AQI, which is all very well, but if it's with high AQI, there is a parabolic relationship between health and the outcome. So you have adverse impacts at a higher level, but that they plateau out, and therefore if you have beneficial effects at a lower level, then you actually get overall more benefit from the health perspective. So effectively, that what it means is if you're moving from 400 to 350 and 200 to 150, when all other things, including population density, etc., are the same, it is the 200 to 150 where you will get more health benefits rather than 400 to 350. So that's something that needs to be considered. Our towns and cities where pollution is now rising, we shouldn't overlook that. We should be ready with our plans there. The other part is when we should be moving out. I think that is known, like mostly in the 10 to 4 sort of time in the winter. So we need to modify that part. I think is fairly clear. But from all of society and the air quality perspective, I think that message that we have to act all around the year and not just in winters, like sir was also mentioning, that is very, very critical, because unless you lower baseline in summers, you will not be able to lower the baseline in winters, and therefore not make the impact that you need, and you will have this winter phenomena endlessly. So we are already into our 6th year, which is something which is now become an international shame, so we know that, and the way it's affecting business, as Amitji also rightly pointed out, these are very important considerations. Then, so just 2 more points and I'll end here. So one is this whole issue of crop burning. That's what I will call as the what aspect in the way I view it. So what can we do, and with crop burning being such an essential issue, which I'm mentioning, there are others, such as, of course, vehicles and road dust, etc., industries, power plants. But I'll just get to that. The main point about crop burning is that, it has these economic consequences, these medical consequences, say on Delhi, for example. Now, you could compute that, and if there was a way in which that money could be transferred to Punjab, Haryana, wherever, right? And you actually ensure that the crop is picked up and converted to energy. I know it's a simplistic what I'm saying, but what I'm trying to mention is that if there is interstate cooperation and including monetary aid, then this problem can be solved. And once it is solved, if the crop residue issue is solved, it's something which is going to take away a huge expenditure, medical expenditure, which comes in every year. And not only suffering, but also deaths, which we don't even have the exact numbers. And the other issue that is there in the whole emissions game, so to say, is that there is a very idealistic sort of notion, which I've even heard from very prominent air quality scientists, that we should address every source of emission. Now that is just not feasible, not needed. It goes against Pareto principle. You should just go on the most important components, most important sources. So that's here in Delhi, it would be, say, vehicles and dust, road dust, or other sources, industries and power plants. That's it. If you just do this, you would have solved Delhi's air quality problem. Don't look at anything else. But unfortunately, it's like going after every source and not getting anything done. So this is what I have to say. This is the how part, how the whole problem should be solved. And so those are the 6 issues. Sorry, I've exceeded a little bit, but I thought I will try to cover whatever possible. It's a subject that I'm very passionate about, having been involved since year 2000.